Hey guys, before I do this video I want to get out there that this isn't a platform for Israeli-Palestine point scoring bullshit, and it's also not a thing for idiots to come on and post all the Holocaust denial shit. If you do that, it'll be deleted, simple as that. This is about history, it's not about current day events, okay? So just thought I would get that out there so that there's no trouble. Okay, there will be a follow-up to this book. The other book I'm going to review is The Field Men, and that is on the Einsatzgruppen, who during Barbarossa and the Polish campaign, it must be said, they followed the Wehrmacht behind the lines, and they rounded up Jews, homosexuals and other what they seen as undesirables, and they shot them. It's more commonly known as the Holocaust by bullets, but they didn't just do that, they did a whole host of horrible things. Now that's out the way, so this is, like I said in the last video, I've been studying the SS, or Schutzstaffel, but they're more commonly known as SS, and got a lot of love in SS books and going into things like uniforms and stuff like that. But if you're going to be studying the SS, then you also need to study the more murky side of it. Murky is probably a tame word for it, because some of their customs and their actions were no less than disgusting. So this is The Camp Men. It's by French Maclean, and it's Schiffer production, Schiffer military history, and their books are normally so I'm going to read this bit here, which is on the inside here. This retails at $59.95 US. I can't think what I got it for. I think it was £30 that I paid for it on eBay. So inside these pages you will meet over 960 infamous men, the officers of Nazi Germany's Totenkopf death head. You will encounter the 256 SS officers who worked at Dachau, the SS concentration camp that doubled as a training centre for death, training school for death. You will encounter 12 SS officers who served in Treblinka and the other very secret camps in Operation Reinhard, Heinrich Himmler's extermination plan for the Jews of Poland. And you will confront the 161 SS officers who ran the largest killing centre of all time, Auschwitz. These officers of the death's head, many of whom later served in the Waffen-SS, were not the bureaucrats who meticulously planned Hitler's final solution from behind a desk in Berlin, or those who quietly scheduled the trains that carried the victims to the camps. Quite the contrary, these men stood on the front line of the Nazi war to exterminate the Jews. They poured the gas pellets, they conducted the gruesome medical experiments, they supervised the crematoria, they smelled the stench of death, they heard the screams, they ordered the guards to shoot. They were the camp men, and they were at the heart of darkness. The photographic section of the book, with well over 100 photographs, a large portion previously unpublished, is the largest collection of photographs of SS camp personnel ever to appear in one work. The images come from the extensive files of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, the Berlin Document Center, Yad Vashem, and many other institutional collections. There are additionally photographs from private sources, including almost 20 rare photos from the Gross Rosen camp commandant's personal photo album. So that's what you're going to get in the book, guys. So like I said, it's going to be pretty gruesome, to say the least. Also by French Maclean, The Cruel Hunters, the SS Sonderkommando Dirlewanger, who I spoke about in the last book. He was a mentally unstable asshole who, him and his unit did a lot of fucked up stuff. Even some of the SS couldn't cope with what he was up to. So you've got acknowledgements here on the inside, about design, all that sort of stuff. The contents, we've got acknowledgements, introduction, the concentration camps, the SS officers, the concentration camp officers and analysis, then appendix SS ranks, personal glossary, sources and the photograph section and the maps. We have about 369 pages in this. Okay, it's a very simple story. I was a Nazi, Hans Hüttig, a camp man at Buchenwald, Sachsenhausen, Flossenburg, Natzweiler and Herzenbusch. Okay, so we've got an introduction over 3 pages, and then we've got a bit on the concentration camps. Our system is so terrible that no one in the world will believe it to be possible. The Commandant of Auschwitz, Rudolf Hess. I've read his book and it's quite... How you get to thinking that what you're doing, and what I mean by that is overseeing the extermination of millions of people. And they weren't just gassed, they were starved to death, worked to death, beaten, all sorts of stuff. And for you to go home with your family at night, it's just shows you. Right, okay, so this is a list of the camps. Achenbuch, and it says type of camp, the location, opened, closed, victims unknown. Small camp held only 125 prisoners. Prisoners did farm work and road construction. Police Captain Franz Mohr and Hans Helwig served as commandants. One thing I want to draw your attention to, so this is the information that you get on each camp, the type of camp that they were, the location, when they were opened and when they were closed, the number of victims estimated, some remarks and stuff. But I'm just going to bring you in a bit, guys, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, but the section on Buchenwald, there's a part here, major sub-camps, and it goes from here all the way down to here. That's the amount of sub-camps from Buchenwald, and that is, I knew they had a lot of camps and stuff, but I didn't know how many they had. I mean, that's just sub-camps for one camp. It's frightening to see, actually. So you've got the names of them, and that continues over a few pages. And then we've got the SS officers, the Totenkopfbande, which evolved into the Totenkopf, which fit on the eastern front. So you've got the commanding officers, the units, and SS camp strength, which, and the amount of officers that they had. Dachau 971. So each year, and the amount of officers that they had in those particular camps. So here we've got the religion of them. You've got each, get the last name, first name, date of birth, place of birth, highest SS rank, their SS number, Nazi party number, marital status, religion, camp service, Waffen SS service, highest decoration, notes. In this, I'll just read out one here. So this is Heinrich Albrecht. He was born the 2nd of February 1911. He was an SS Sturmbannführer, Nazi number, his party number, sorry. Religion, his Waffen-SS service was the 3rd SS Division Totenkopf, 23rd SS Division Kramer, and the 31st SS Division 1944, Company Commander in Waffen-SS. Camp service Oranienburg from 1938 to 1940. His National Archive file, birthplace, his SS number, his highest decoration in the War Service Cross 2nd class. He was married. So it goes through all these officers, and it's quite extensive on them. And it's in alphabetical order. So you've got all these going through to the end there. So that takes up quite a bulk of the book. So if you're looking for any in particular officers, they'll be there. Concentration camp officers and analysis. Never forget we were a knightly order, from which one cannot draw, to which one is recruited by blood, and within which one remains with body and soul, so long as one lives on this earth. Heinrich Himmler. The birthplace. Concentration camp officers' most frequent place of birth. So the top one is Munich, Berlin and Hamburg were the top 3. The awards and decorations, all Waffen-SS officer awardees, the Knight's Cross. Table 6, highest decoration, SS service. I get the SS number, and it goes into NSDP service, concentration camp officers, nobility, doctors, dentists. These guys, it sort of brings your attention that they weren't just men in uniform, they did have professions as well. The religion, Waffen-SS service, the Lifestyle Data, Das Reich, Totenkopf, Polizei, Viking, Nord, Prince Eugen. So it's interesting to see that these guys went on to serve in the Waffen-SS. And it gives you each one. There's 16 in the Lifestyle Data, 39 in Das Reich, 159 in the Totenkopf. Waffen-SS Divisional Commanders, Theodor Eicher, who was one of the major players in the concentration camp system. Camp service, combat fatalities. Eicher, I believe, was killed in the Eastern Front while in charge of the Totenkopf. The corporate headquarters, academics, general officers, post-war justice and punishment. So these guys were sentenced and executed. The commandants. So it gives you their name, what camp they were at. Conclusion, strong link between camp and Waffen-SS service. House of the Guards concentration camps, personnel in the command did not belong to the Waffen-SS. Only the course of the war were these units designated as Waffen-SS in order to release them from military service, give them free to carry out their post duties. Fate of Operation Reinhard officers, the final word. And you've got notes, sources and things. The SS ranks, which is in quite a few books. Some German abbreviations for words. Goes on to sources, and the sources are quite extensive, over 2 pages, and now we're on to the photo section. So, Theodore Eicher, and there again, like I said, was one of the major players in the concentration camp system. Again, you get these guys who are holding children and stuff, but yet they're killing other races of children. Hans Helwig. All of these pictures I haven't seen. Josef Kramer, quite a famous one. Mengele, who carried out the medical experiments. He was obsessed with twins. Any twins that came in, he would, come and conduct experiments on them. Eva Kohn, I'm sure she was one of them. No officers. Martin Weiss. Now these are the ceremony of Hitler's birthday in 1941, Auschwitz. Experimented with Dr. Klauberg at Block 10, Auschwitz. Experimented with non-surgical methods of sterilisation of Jewish female prisoners in Auschwitz I. Hitler's visit to Auschwitz, Monowitz. Hitler and I.G. Farben, supervisor. Interestingly enough, the pictures of Himmler were supposed to have been destroyed. To stop them being leaked out. That's a famous picture. Auschwitz-Birkenau, May 1944. Hungarian Jewish men and women await selection at the camp ramp. And they did an investigation into who this guy is. Seen that in a documentary. New prisoners at the selection ramp. Left column will head to the gas chambers. So all these people were just beggars belief. Arrival of new prisoners at selection ramp. Trains arriving. Suitcases and stuff that were collected and plundered and sent back to Germany. Belzec, SS guards stand in formation behind the outside the commandant's house. SS men begin construction of gallows just outside the camp. Buchenwald. SS medical personnel operate on a prisoner. Buchenwald. Dachau, 1933, SS personnel. So this was before Hitler was president, or chancellor, whatever you want to call it. Because he assigned himself as the president in 1934. But with the Nuremberg laws, that's how all this happened. When the Reichstag was supposedly burned down by a communist, that's how all these camps sprung up. With the Enabling Act. Release of prisoners at Christmas in Dachau, 1933. else we got? Dachau, visit by Dr. Lay, General Labour Front, and Theodore Eicher. Dachau, visit by Orville Lay, Dachau. Heinrich Himmler and Rudolf Höss, second from the left. With Richard Glocks and Grail Pels. Dachau, May 1941. SS officers discuss recent shooting. 2 of the SS pictured to participate in the killing at Egonsdale and Franz Johann Hoffmann. A large Labour commando can be seen in the distance. Gross Rosen, dentist. Dr. Krunzik. Gross Rosen. Commandant Rodel. We got Camp Ashton on the right. You got all these SS officers relaxed, so they're all having a high old time while all the misery's going on around about them. Janowska Camp Orchestra. Prisoner musicians conducted by the director of Livre Opera, Jakob Munt and Professor Schnittix. Orchestra played while the inmates set out to work, and when they returned, the Nazis ordered the orchestra to perform a specially composed melody entitled Tango of Death, which was performed when prisoners were tortured and executed. On the right, in the light uniform, is the camp commandant. That's the guard company commander passing the main gate. Majdanek, Lublin, July 1944. SS enlisted men display canisters of Zyklon B to Russian troops after camp liberation. Both were subsequently hanged. Majdanek, Lublin, Russian officers and captured SS Obersturmbannführer Anton Therns after liberation of camp. Zaires, third from the right. Mauthausen. Again, Himmler's visit to Mauthausen. What else we got? Mauthausen again. Commandant Franz Jares. He was done in at the end of the meant to have been. His deathbed, mortally wounded. He was meant to have been lynched. It was maybe the adjutant that was lynched. SS troops observe the 20th anniversary of the Nazi beer hall putsch at Neuengramme. SS guards over prisoners, same place. This page, Eamon Leopold Goeth was responsible for the liquidation of the ghettos and the labour camps in Björkmia, Tarnow and Krakow. Among others, in February 1943 he was appointed commander of Plaszow, where he remained until September 1944. After the war he was tried and executed in Krakow. This is the commandant in the film Schindler's List, and the guy who played it got him pretty spot on. It was very well played, and the guy was a real sadist. So if you haven't seen it, then check that out. It's a really good film. Pascal, enlisted guards. The man on the right has received an Iron Cross First Class for frontline Waffen SS service. Ravensbrück, visit by Himmler. Sachsenhausen. Sachsenhausen, visit by Interior Minister Wilhelm Frick. Heinrich Himmler walks with them while Richard Glutz leads party. Sachsenhausen. SS non-commissioned officers Alexander Kaiser, Franz Horo and Hubert Gormensky. And on to the last page. Stutthof, 1941. Max Pauli was commandant in 41. Franz Stangl left and Kurt Franz, deputy commander, in front of the commander's hut in Treblinka. Stangl holds a horsewhip, a favourite status symbol of the German cadre personnel. Stangl was the second commandant of Treblinka, arriving in 1942 from Soviet war. Now we're on to the maps. These are camps in Austria. These are the ones in Belgium, Czechoslovakia, well, Czech Republic at the time, Estonia, France, Latvia, concentration camps in Lithuania, the Netherlands, Poland, which had the most wartime concentration camps in Germany. 1930s concentration camps. And then you have pages to make notes in, but I wouldn't do that anyway. And then you have an advertisement for the Allgemeine, it's another SS book. So, not the nicest of subjects, admittedly, but I do think it's something that needs to be taught, because I think a large proportion of people, well, if you don't know about it breeds the ground for it to happen again, and it's already happened so many times since. But it wasn't just Jews that they persecuted, it was everyone basically, Protestants, Catholics, just all sorts of people, Muslims, homosexuals, the unemployed. So in studying the SS you're going to come across the dirty water side of things, and this is certainly one not for the faint-hearted, but again pretty important if you're going to understand exactly what the SS were and how linked they were to the Waffen-SS. So that is The Campmen by Frenchel Maclean. There will be a follow-up next time, which will be The Fieldmen, which is on the Einsatzgruppen. But I haven't got that yet, so that'll need to wait. So yeah, thanks for listening guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.